We're live on YouTube. I have to take a couple of urgent calls. Sorry, apologies for that. Should have been a little bit earlier. But let's get going. It's the Party Wall show with Dil. And guess what we talk about every week? 1996 Party Wall Act, Chief Surveyor in 1996. Bringing you some great content, educational purposes only, as they say on a lot of the YouTube stuff. Look, I'm going to bring you some useful content. Please like and subscribe so we can spread it to the people who need it. Let's get going. Let's get on with it. And oh yes, I've got a bonus for you further on. Watch right till the end of the show. I'm going to show you how you can get a free bonus. All related to Party Wall Act, of course. Right. So this is a question and answer show. We look at the questions from audience, try and put them in order, and answer them each week. So now we did we started a new series last week, and the next in this series is what are notifiable works. So if you're a homeowner, if you're a surveyor in the industry, or if you're a construction professional, this is going to be very useful for you. So please watch this very, very carefully. On repeat, if you can. I'm going to share some really valuable content. Right, let's get going. Get on with it. Okay, so what are notifiable works? Now, normally when you get projects, we just focus on your project. I'm going to build this extension. I'm going to build a loft. Not so much for the chimneys, but usually you say, I'm going to build an extension, a loft, or an outhouse, or build a building, or build a skyscraper, whatever your project is. Yep. So all someone who's building is focused on the project. That's their project. I'm going to build my extension, or my loft conversion, my skyscraper, or whatever you're going to build. Yep. So you're sitting there thinking in terms of projects. It's not what we do at the Party Wall Act, right? So out of that project, we're going to assess the works for the notifiable works. There's a certain amount of works that are notifiable under the Party Wall Act. It's actually a very, very, very small amount, but that's all we focus on. We're not worried about the rest. We're not worried about planning, building control, all the rest of the stuff that goes towards doing a project. We're just focusing on Party Wall. And in the Party Wall Act, we're only looking at notifiable work. So this has been going around in my head for ages. This is one of the reasons why people misunderstand, and even very experienced people in the construction industry can't get their head around it. So if you imagine a football field, football match, all we're worried about is scoring the goal. That's it, nothing else. Not sure about that analogy, but let's run with it for a moment. Okay, so all we're thinking of is the notifiable works, not the rest of everything else that's going on, just those little elements. Now, I'm going to come to what they are shortly. Yeah. So you're going to assess the notifiable works, and the adjoining owners, I'm going to use the term here, and it'll be explained in one of the other things. You're going to determine the notifiable adjoining property related to those notifiable works. So it's only in relation to those notifiable works. We're not worried about the other properties. It's only the ones that are adjoining properties in relation to that each element of those works. And then the next step of the process is we look at land registry. And part of the reason we look at land registry is we have to deal with leaseholders and freeholders. So, excuse me, that's why there's a bit of back and forth. Yep. And then we get hold of the details of the notifiable owners. We create their notices, and we serve notices on each of the notifiable. It says property, it's really the owners, but yeah, there's a bit of mishmash going on there. Okay, so that's the overview process, but the real important part is this assessing the notifiable works. Okay, so that's a rough draft of the process, and I try to break it down so that you get what we're doing behind the scenes. Yeah. So the next question you're going to get is, okay, well, all right, you've got notifiable works. How does that, when you've got notifiable works, how does that relate to section numbers and notices? Because, you know, all we're concerned about is notices. Now, that's the next question I'm going to answer. Yeah. So I've done this version of a table that I shared with you last time, and I'm going to go through it again. And this is, I'm just using residential works and residential owners as a teaching device, because we can all relate. We've seen lofts and extensions being done, so we can all relate to it. Look, I've tried to simplify this. So I'll talk about detached, semi, and terrace. But if you're doing a basement, let me go back. If you're doing a basement, or if you're doing a porch or an outhouse, you should get professional help, because you're gonna basements definitely, porches you probably don't need to serve notices, but it's worth talking to someone. And if you're gonna do outhouses, again, I'm gonna try and explain the rules over the forthcoming series, but they can be complicated, and you know, you don't want to give notices without doing it, and conversely, you don't want to give a notice and it's wrong, or not give a notice and it holds up your work. So there's problems both sides of that stuff. So this is why I concentrate on the three most common types of works: rear extension, loft conversion, and I'll put chimneys in there because they get done as part of one of the other two, basically. And also, they are notifiable works. Everybody thinks they're not. So, and third point on the chimneys, they're the ones that can potentially cause the most damage. So that's why I say, please, 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 don't do chimney removal without doing the party wall process. So I've split it out to three most common types of works into we're going to end up with a 3 by 3 by 3 matrix here. So three most common type of works, three most common types of, well, those are the only three types of properties. Actually, there's a few more. There's flats and so on. But so if you're doing a rear extension, if you're doing a loft conversion, and if you're doing removing your chimneys, if you live in a detached house, semi-detached, or a terrace. If you live in a flat or a house that's converted into flats, that's getting complex. We're not going to be able to go through this simplified process. So that's why I've tried to keep this simple for explanation purposes. Okay, we're doing those. And moving on, so that gives you a view, and each of those I've sort of said, if you're a detached house, you don't need to worry about your loft, you don't need to worry about your chimney, but the rear extension depends. And I'm going to go through the rules, and there's a matrix on it. And the way to understand this matrix really properly is to understand the rules for each type of notice. Now, unfortunately, these are the notices. So these are the section numbers in the notice. So this stuff in red, you know, if you're doing a rear extension, it's 6.1, 6.2, probably 6.1, and maybe section 1. For a loft, it's section 2, 3. So the works you're doing, the notifiable works in a loft conversion come under section 2, but you have to do a section 3 notice to deal with that. So that's why it's 2, 3. Yeah. And the same for the chimney. Okay, chimney removal, it's not come up. Again, yeah, I've got it there. And again, porches and basements, talk to someone. You're going to get yourself in trouble. So basically, if we look down this column, notifiable section, it's just, there's only 3 of them, actually. These are the 3 ones that we deal with to start with. Section 6, section 1, and section 2/3. That's it. And then in the coming weeks, I'm going to talk about the rules for each of those, but I've got the rules here. I'm going to explain all this for you. So basically, 3 types of works, 3 types of properties. And this is going to need to rhyme. And 3 sections. So that's how you have to frame the Party Wall Act in your mind. So 3 by 3. It's like a Rubik's Cube, actually. I can never do those things. They're too difficult for me. Right. Okay. So that's it basically. Now, I know it's a little simple, but this series will build up. So like and subscribe so I can carry on making this stuff. And oh yes, I've got your bonus content. So I talked about a bonus content. So the government brought out this fantastic booklet. If you Google the Party Wall Act, it's got these pictures in it. Got to put the picture in front of it. And they've actually moved it around, and I don't even think you can download the booklet anymore. I can't work out what they're doing with it. Fantastic pictures, great explanation. You know, I used to use sometimes I use some of these. Download it, have a read through it. But I should put a warning there. It's not very good for doing notices yourself. So we know the government's busy. They've got 10 million things going on. At the moment of this filming, they've got this new variant that they're dealing with, the one that can't be named. So we thought, and they've got all the other stuff going on. So we thought we'd give them a hand and create this. So we create this booklet. There's a checklist of how you do your notices if you want to do it yourself. There's the 3 notices that I talked about: 1, 2/3, and 6. So that's it. Boom, boom, boom. Here's your 3 notices. So we're going to have a 3x3x3. Yeah. These are simplified versions just to make it easy for you. Yeah. Because every time I see somebody using the government booklet, it's wrong. I'm sorry. I haven't seen it being done properly just yet. I haven't seen an example of it done. It's not your fault, because don't explain it properly. And it was written in 2001, and they've left out a ton of stuff. Sorry, government. Sorry, whoever wrote this. Actually, I do know some of the people that wrote that. I'm not going to, hopefully they never watch this video, but let's see. All right, so look, you're going to get this booklet. It's going to have a checklist there. It's going to have these draft sections. Go for it. It's a PDF. Use it. And circumstances you could use it is if you've got a semi, I should reframe this in terms of, okay. So if you've got a semi-detached or a terrace, and you've got houses that are neighbors that are houses, and both of those are within notifiable distance under 6.1, yeah, go for it. This booklet's fine. You can use this, yeah. If you've got a house and you've got a notifiable owner on one side and the other one's out of scope, i.e. they're too far away, more than 3 meters away, and you're not digging, you're not creating a basement, go for it, use the booklet, it's fine for you. If you live in a house that's been converted into flats and you're going to put an extension on the back of it, or if you're living in the upstairs flat, I'll come to that in a minute, and you're going to put a loft conversion on it. So with the rear extension, that one's notifiable across the drive, and the one next to it's notifiable for both of those. Don't use the booklet. I put a question mark. It's going to cause you problems. I can't stop you using it. Download it and use it, obviously. But in terms of who you notify, it's too complex. It's going to get you into problems, and what's going to happen then is either you're not going to serve the right notices, or you're going to serve too many notices. And I've seen both being done by. It's just a complex area. It doesn't mean you're not clever, and we're not cleverer than you, but we just do it on a more regular basis. Okay. Now, if you've got a house and you've got flats next to you, or more likely that this will be like a shop situation, and you're doing a development and you're doing something to the party wall, it's a complex arrangement like this, don't use the booklet. It's no good for you. Not because it hasn't got everything you need, but the process is too complex and you're going to get yourself into trouble. So don't use it. Not just my booklet, don't even use the government one. It's not going to be good for you. You at this stage, you do need to consult a professional, because you're going to get yourself into trouble. So that's it basically. So get the bonus, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week for the next installment. Quite enjoying this actually. Anyway, so look, don't forget, like, subscribe. The bonus is absolutely free. All you have to do is like and subscribe, and that's. I look forward to seeing you next week. Now I've got to find